All right, please, you may be seated in God's presence. I began to talk about 25 decisions you should make or you have to make in this new year in order to see a change or a drastic turnaround. You have to decisively make up your mind to make new decisions. Decisions are choices that we make, and every time the word decision or choice shows up in a matter, it means that there are options. Anytime the issue of decision or choices sprout up, it means that there are possible alternatives that people will have to choose from. And the goal of this message is to help you see the best choice you can make to achieve better outcomes this year, because largely life is a function of choice and decision, and outcomes are also functions of decision and choices. Can I say that again? Life is a function of choices and decision, and outcomes are functions of decisions and choices. Let me take it again in case you did not get it. Life generally is a function of our decisions, and the outcomes of our lives are functions of the decisions we make. So you don't know life until you understand how to make choices. You don't know life, you have not mastered life actually, until you understand how to choose from variant alternatives or variant options. You don't also understand how to navigate life until you have learned how to make choices. As a matter of fact, choices and decisions are the greatest form of power that man has. As a matter of fact, the greatest power that man has is the power to choose, the power to look at options that are available and decide that of all these options, I choose this one over the other one. That's the greatest power man has. So life is a function of decision, and outcomes are functions of decisions. The result and the outcome of a man's life is largely a reflection of the quality of his decision. Most of the blames we accord to things in life are actually blames that are wrongly channeled or wrongly accorded. For instance, a person decides not to inform himself, he decides not to grow, he decides to remain the same person he's always been, and then he begins to blame the devil for the outcome of his life. No. As a matter of fact, the things the devil does to a person can only be blamed on the devil 20%. The devil's power, the devil's activities, the activity of Satan only affects man to 20% of man's entire life, or man's life as a whole. What I mean by that is that if you see the devil acting in life, all his activities, all his power, everything he does is summarized within the ambit of 20% of his operation. So anything happening to man that you want to blame the devil for, you can only blame it around 20% of what the devil is allowed to do. 20%. The remaining 80%, and if you ask me to say, I could even tell you 90%, the remaining 80% is largely predicated on decisions and the choices that we make. So you are where you are today on the premises of the decisions you made yesterday. You're going to be where you want to be tomorrow on the premises of the decisions you're making today. Let me take that again. You're where you are today on the premises of the decisions you made yesterday, and you're going to go forward from where you are, or you're going to go to the next level of your life on the premises of the decisions you make today. Whether you go forward in life or you go backward is premised on the decision you're going to make today. The decision of who to marry, the decision of what to do with your finances, the decision of what to do with God, His kingdom. I'd like you to go back and revisit everything that I had, taught over the days. I started this series on Thursday, and for those of us who were not here to get the message on Thursday, I had one yesterday on Saturday rather. If you are not here to get these packages, please do yourself the favor of going back to the platform. The messages are right there. You can find them on my Facebook page at Rev Prince Abah. Rev is R-E-V, short for Reverend. And you can find them on my YouTube, Prince Abah on my YouTube. So make sure you do go back to them. There are about 3 parts or so there now. And there has to be more than 3 parts. I think they're still uploading the other ones. So do well to go revisit them. I've done about 20, if I'm correct. Have I done up to 20? Maybe 17 or so. I've done up to 17 decisions you must make. Like I said, there are 25 of them. And these 25 decisions are carefully studied. I did not just come up with an idea. No. These are very carefully studied decisions or carefully studied PowerPoints that can affect your life if you subscribe to them. Nothing makes a year great. Nothing makes a year beautiful. Nothing makes a year glorious. Only one thing does: the choices we make. The choices we make. The decisions we make. That you came for crossover night and you shouted on the loudest part of your vocal cords, that you came for crossover night and danced your life away and blew knockout you could blow and celebrated and all that, will not affect a year. It will not make any difference. As a matter of fact, you can still have the same outcome in a new year like you had in the previous year, until you do a thorough review of the kind of decision that drives your life. Decisions are the steering that propels or drives or directs a man's life. You see, what the steering is to a car is what your decision is to your life. A person can be on the road driving and decide to steer the car into a bush or steer the car into a river. It's his choice. Another person takes the same car, decides to keep that car on the right track and navigate that car to his right destination. The person can be driving and decide to overtake when he should not overtake. A person can be driving and decide to, hit somebody when he shouldn't hit somebody. Decisions. Most of the auto crashes we have in our world today are premised on decisions people made. Many of them wrong decisions. Wrong decision to overtake when you should not overtake. Wrong decision to speed when you should be slow. And that's what life and success generally looks like. When a person says he wants to succeed, the next thing you have to do is to review the decisions I'm making today. Will they aid my success, or will they bring about failure? Time will fail me because I really do not have all the time to be in this service. Go back to the previous messages. So I'm going to start from I stopped at 17, decision to live a life of purpose and vision. All right, that's number 17 point. I stopped at that. One of the decisions you should make this year to have a prosperous, a fulfilling Kairos year is to make a decision around a life of purpose and vision. You've heard me say time without number that a life that is not known, or a life that lacks knowledge of itself, will not be known in his word. A life that does not have a purpose will inevitably waste. A life without a vision will inevitably head for waste. The greatest power that transforms a man's life, that turns his future around, The greatest power that affects a man's history. It doesn't matter the kind of history you have. It doesn't matter the kind of background you have. It can be a poor background. It can be a failed background. You can be coming from, a family where nothing is working. You can be coming from a life, a history where everything is not just working. If you want to turn things around, the instrument for which you do that is to initiate a vision. I gave a clear example yesterday of how God turned around a misfortune of darkness and a misfortune of emptiness. The Bible says in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. But before he did that, the Bible said that the earth was without form and void, and darkness covered the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering on the surface of the waters. And then God said, let there be light. The light that God put in place is the power of vision. Every time you want to turn something that is dark, you have to bring in light. Anytime you want to change a situation that looks bleak, anytime you want to change the circumstances that look hopeless, the first thing to go for is light. The first thing to go for is light. Light is vision. Vision is the power that recreates your world. If you look at your finances and you are not happy with the things you're getting currently, the outcomes of your finances, the outcome of your marriage, the outcome of your family, the outcome of life generally, what actually you need to do is to turn on light, the power of vision. Vision is capturing a better picture, a better image, a better future that can override and overrule your current reality. Vision is painting a preferred picture different from your current existence or different from your current reality. So maybe your life looks like, this is not what I want. I don't want this life of poverty, this life of hopelessness, this life of frustration, this life of emptiness. Like God, what do you do to change it around? It's not to complain. It's not to murmur. It's not to blame things or blame people or blame circumstances or blame your background. No, what you do is to initiate a vision for your life. What can you see? The Bible talked about a man called Abraham. This man was barren. The wife also, Sarah, was barren. For many years, they had no child. And something very important happened in the life of Abraham that changed that several years of barrenness and made him the father of nations. What happened? The Bible said that God came to Abraham one day and said to him, Abraham, what do you see? He said, lift up your eyes. What do you see? He said, I see the stars. He said, number the stars. Can you number them? The young man tried to count and count and count, and he lost count severally of the number of stars in the sky. When he was done with that, God said to him, okay, come with me. Let me take you to the sea, and I'm going to show you the number of sand there. And I want you to begin to count every grain of sand by the seashore. And Abraham began to count. And Abraham said to God, why are you doing this? These are too much. I can't count them. And God said to Abraham, it looks like you're beginning to get them. He said, as innumerable as the stars of the heavens are, and as uncountable as the sand by the seashore is, he says, so shall your descendants be on the earth. It was at that point Abraham began to understand what God wanted to do with him. It was at that point it became clear to Abraham that he was not barren, that he was actually fertile. The reason he felt he was barren was because his eyes could not see nations. His eyes could not see his children numbered like the stars, numbered like the sun. Listen, if a man is in a state of penury, he's not actually poor. The difference is that he has no vision of who he can be. He has no picture, no clarity of the possibilities of God within him and the possibilities of his life before him. He has no picture of that. Anything you currently see around you is a function. And listen, not just what you see. Anything you have come to accept in your life is a function of all that your eyes can see. I found that anytime God wants to affect a man's life, God does not do anything until that man partners with him in the area of seeing something. Jeremiah, what do you see? He said, I see the stem of an almond tree. I see the branch of an almond tree. He said, okay, you have seen well. He said, now I'm going to be watching over my word to perform it. Because God's word cannot come to fruition until there's vision. As a matter of fact, when God speaks to you, he doesn't expect you to hear, he expects you to see. When God speaks to a man, he does not expect the man to hear necessarily. The height of hearing from God is seeing something after hearing. God speaks not to inform. God speaks to create pictures. God speaks to create images in the heart of people. When people hear God and they don't see, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of hearing from God. I can show you scriptures upon scriptures of how God affected the life of people by showing them a preferred them, by showing them a preferred future, by showing them a preferred picture. God will not do anything with a man beyond his capacity to see. As far as your eyes can see, God said to Abraham, look north pole, look south pole, look west, look east. He said, as far as your eyes can see. What that means is that the boundary of a man's harvest is his vision. The extent you can see is the measure God will give you. The extent to which you can see in this new year is the extent to which God can give you. What do you see? I remember Jesus healing a man who was blind. The Bible says he touched the man's eyes, and after touching the eyes of this man, he asked him a very simple question. He asked him, what do you see? Ordinarily, one would expect that the question to ask after you have healed the man of blindness is, can you see? Listen, God is not just interested in sight, he's interested in vision. You can have ability to see, but you may not have ability for vision, capacity for vision. They are two different things. There are many people with open eyes that can't see. They have their eyes open, and all their eyes do is look. There are many with eyes that are even physically short, blind, but they have capacity to see. I heard of a story of a woman called Helen Keller who was born blind and lived several years and then became very successful as a woman. And then they asked her a question. Pressmen, newsmen, interviewers asked her a question, journalists. He said, you have been blind all these years, yet very successful, even more successful than people who are born blind or who are born with their eyes open. He said, what is one thing you think can be worse than being blind? And she said, having eyes that are open and yet not being able to see. He said, the worst thing in life is not optical blindness, it's not physical blindness. Worst thing in life is that your eyes can be open, yet you lack the capacity to see. Great men are great, not on the premises of luck. No, great men are great on the premises of vision. Can you see a formless word, and right inside the formless word, see a glorious word? A man by the name of Disney Waltz said to his son one day, I see a mountain in Florida. And the son said to him, he said, no, there are no mountains in Florida. There are only mountains in the east side of Africa and some other sides of the west. But as far as Florida is concerned, there are no mountains here. So don't tell me anything about seeing mountains. There are no mountains here. And Disney said to him, but I see a mountain here. It's very crystal clear. I can see a mountain here. And he left it at that. He said nothing else. Years after, mountains erupted in Florida because Disney went to work to build a park where people could go to have recreation, have time out, have time to recreate, spend holidays and all that. He built what you call the Disney Park in America. And not just that he built the Disney Park, what today is called the Disney World has evolved into several branches and several visions of the Disney of the man called Disney World. Today you have Disney cartoons, you have Disney production involved in movies, you have Disney Park, Disneyland, Disney, all kinds of Disneys. Now, there's something interesting in this story I want to show you. When Disney was about to, of course, he was sick and he died. And when he was about to be buried, at the burial of Disney, a certain man, after Disney had built so much of what he saw in his visionary world, a certain man who was anchoring the program called the wife to come and give a speech, a tribute to her husband Disney. And when the man called the wife and she came up, the man looked at the wife and said, "Poor you, I can imagine how you feel. I know you must have wished that Disney was alive today to see all the things he saw, to see all his dreams, to see everything, this park that is beautiful. I wish he was alive to see the inauguration of this beautiful park." And when he handed the mic over to the woman took the mic and said only one thing, and then sat down. You know what she said? She said, "Disney saw it." That was all she said. So Disney does not need to be alive to witness what is going on here. He witnessed it before all of us witnessed it. You future in your future before it arrives. You future in your preferred life before it comes. Listen, you can never future in a future you have not pictured. The only way to become the person of your dream is to create it. The vision within you is the reality you will live in. Whatever you hold as your vision today, whether it's vision of smallness, whether it's vision of bigness, whether it's vision of largeness, whether it's vision of emptiness, whether it's vision of enlargement, whatever vision you hold today in your heart is the reality you would live in. So Disney lived in the reality of the world he created even before it was created. You might be poor, listen. You might be sick. You might be downtrodden. You might be in a situation of disadvantage. But if you can transmit a new picture from within your imagination, because that's the biggest power God gave you, the power of imagination, the ability to recreate your world by simply tapping into the power of your imagination and seeing something different. It doesn't matter what your current reality is and where you currently are. If you can utilize the power of your imagination to picture a better reality, a better life, that this family that is going through ups and downs will be stable, that this life that looks like it's not balanced will finally be balanced, that this economic situation around me that looks like it is very frail, it looks very harsh, looks very bad, if you can transmit a new information from your mind, if you can begin to see that beyond the empty pocketed guy, beyond the broke guy, the broke girl, that there's a billionaire in the rising, if you can begin to live in the billionaire realm consciously, if you can begin to picture the preferred life. Listen, the problem with many people is not the problem they are faced with. The problem with many people is that they don't have the capacity to see anything different from their problem. They don't have the capacity to see anything else different from what they are currently having. And that inability is responsible for why they are trapped in the same circle, in the same space, in the same limitation. Once your eyes picture something different, something new, something better, something greater, then you're on your journey to living a more prosperous and a more fulfilled life. All right, because I have a lot of things here. 18, decision to take bold and courageous steps towards big goals and dreams. Listen, it's one thing to see a thing, is another thing to take a step towards it. In 2025, in this new year of Kairos, you have to have big visions, but after having big visions, you have to make plans to take big steps. That means you must be courageous and you must be bold. I have never seen a person climb a mountain without courage. I have never seen a person take a walk. I traveled to the River Nile between River Nile and River Victoria. And I was going to do a zip line. And the height of this zip line is, give or take, 3 times taller than this building. This building has got very amazing height. I think it's more than 20 feet. And this zip line is 2 times or 3 times taller. I remember climbing up the steps of that penthouse where you're going to be strapped with all the belt and everything and helmet, and then you take off from there. And the distance from this pent to the other pent is quite a long expanse, and just underneath your feet is massive water. And then this white friend of mine said to me, we are going to zip line. I said, fine, let's go. When we got there, while we're climbing the mountains and climbing the pent, I already decided I was not going to do that. It was very, very clear I was not going to do that. Me, come and lose my life in the water. Am I Jonah? So that fish will swallow me. Anyways, I just decided, well, let me just follow them and climb. When I reach there, I'll find an excuse. I'm not doing this. We got to the top. And then, who is going first? Who is going first? Doc, are you going first? I said, no. I'm trying to finish up a few things. I'm doing a few research on my phone, so someone else should go. I'm coming. I'm going to go maybe next or third. Someone else can go. I had a problem with telling them I had the fright because I didn't want nobody to laugh at me. They had seen me preach. They've seen me heal the sick. They've seen me raise the dead. They've seen me do all kinds of things in our conferences. And in their mind, they feel this guy, man. So how do I begin to explain that this man of God had any little fear or element of fear in him? It was a difficult thing to explain. So what I did, however, was just found a way to get busy with my phone and pretended I was saying, in my heart, I was saying, you guys are terrible. How do you guys do this to me? How can you guys come out of nowhere and you just want to lose your life? What kind of risk is this? Americans and their risk-taking whatever. And then we stayed up there. And the white was the first to go, if I remember. Strapped and then took off. In fact, while she was going, she turned, hello. I was like, wow, does it look that simple? Okay. I'll show this person that you don't need the white skin to be bold. I may be a black man skin-wise, but I'm going to take an adventure that even white will be scared of me. So I got ready to be strapped. Now, when they strapped me with all the belts and put the helmet and I held the line, and I got to the foot of that pent and was about to move, I said, no, not me. No. And then people were like, come on, do it. You can do it. I said, no. Listen. I have things to do in this world. I didn't come here to die. It's not yet time to die. I have things I must achieve. I have dreams I must fulfill. I didn't come here to die. You guys should leave me alone. But what changed my mind was this set of little children, maybe 4 years, 3 years, 5 years. They were already strapped. And one came to me, Americans. One came to me and said, hello? Don't tell me you're scared. And I told him, I said, no. I'm not scared. I'm just trying to, I'm not scared, I have children like you. What happens if I don't come back alive? Are you going to take care of them? And then their mom said, hello, mister, you can do it. I mean, we do this from time to time. I said, yes, I've been doing this thing too. It's just that today is a different, I feel a bit moody today. I don't know. And then one of them said, Mom, he's scared. And in my heart, I had to make a choice there. Whether to fall the hands of Africa or to make Africa proud. I had to decide. And you know what I did? I boldly closed my eyes. After I retreated, I went to it, shut my eyes. Some of the things that makes us lack courage is that we choose to see the fear than build on faith. Our eyes are open to the things we are scared of. Our eyes are so enlightened with fear that we lack capacity to generate faith for things that look very, very impossible. So what I did was I had to shut my eyes to fear, and I held the line. And our instructor said, "Are you ready now?" He said, "You can do this." I said, yeah. He said, "So just go back and then run, and you're off on the line." So what I did was I looked at it one more time. Fear wanted to come. I closed my eyes and I went back. And immediately I moved. I was out of the basement. And this time I was soaring in the air, holding that line. When I opened my eyes, this way water waving, this other way mountains. But I held myself courageously. I said, today if I perish, I perish. At least when my story is told, let it be that it was told that this man died taking a courageous step. But finally, I got to the end of the pens and arrived, and there was celebration. Oh, you made it. And I said, please take it off. How do I go back? He said, you're going to go back the same way. I said, the same way again? No, please, is there a road I can travel back? I want to walk. Let me walk. I just want to stretch my body. He said, it's a distance, so you have to go back the same way. I said, well, I've done it, and I can do it again. And that was it. I found out that what is holding people back from taking the big step is that when they look at what is ahead of them, they feel it is so insurmountable. They feel this thing is too big. It's like Saul. He has come out to come fight Goliath. He's prepared. Everything in him has charged. And then he has arrived at the battleground and he's ready to fight. Then Goliath lifts up his voice and roars. He shouts, give me a man. He said, give me a man in Israel who can fight me. And so we look at Goliath with all his armory. And because he was listening to the voice of intimidation, the voice of impossibility, you can't. He said, if they burn you well, come close to me. Then like Godzilla, that big beast. Is it Godzilla? That big baboon or chimpanzee. He will hit himself. Hey! When Saul hears that sound, Saul will do right about turn, and he will face the armies of Israel and say, Israel, to your tents. And he will run, and the entire Israel will scatter. And for times after time, this kept happening until one day one boy stood out from the bush and said, no. Is there not a cause in Israel? This is an abnormality. This is not meant to be so. How can we be defied? We are the armies of God. How can one uncircumcised Philistine who does not have partnership, who does not have covenant with God, how can one uncircumcised